Hello, Brother Sewing and Crafting family. Angela Wolf here, Brother Brand Ambassador, and you know what we're working on today? The grocery bag, although I've come up with a few other names for it. Because this bag seems to be in my car or my husband's car all the time. With groceries, let's see what else. Oh, I had all my magazines to bring up north last weekend. I also had a bunch of, cords for our tablets and stuff. I think it's going to be like the go-to bag. I might be making a lot of these. So did you start? Did you start your project? I'm just curious. It's so nice to see you all, by the way. Say hi, say where you're from. We are streaming live on Brothers Facebook and YouTube sewing channels. So, yep, I'm here. I'm on Facebook and YouTube. So hello. So my question to you is, did you start the bag? So if you're on YouTube, click the like button if you either started the bag or you're going to start the bag. And if you're on Facebook, you have a lot of emojis to pick from. So pick the love one if you started the bag, or pick the like one if you're going to start soon. All right? And if you're just hanging out, then you can just like it anyways. So I haven't had a chance to check on Instagram to see some of your fabrics. I did see a couple show up in the Angela Wolf Patterns Facebook group, and there was I don't know if it was Susie's, forgive me if I got this wrong. It was a beautiful, beautiful green, like almost like reminds me of Florida. That's why I was thinking it was probably Susie. So I'm just curious. Oh, you got all the sides quilted, Angie. All right. Okay, so today we're going to work on the pocket, and then I will also take any questions you have about what we've started. So if you missed last week's version, let me bring up our bag here. Our super cute bag turned out amazing. I've already quilted all 4 sides, 2 using the embroidery machine and 2 quilting on my own. Yeah, and the lines were even straight. Thanks for the Brothers Sew Straight laser light. I could sit there and drink a cup of coffee and sew, although I'm not sure if that's recommended. Just don't spill on your fabric, right? All right, so there's the bag. We're going to work on the pocket. I'm going to give you some ideas. So you don't have to copy everything I'm doing. The idea is that I inspire you, and then you take it away and make your own version. So I'm just curious to know if you all picked a certain print or a certain color for your bag. I've seen a lot of floral designs. I love that. I chose fishing, obviously, but did you find one maybe for baseball or golf, or I don't know. I'm just curious. All right, so let's get rolling. I see you all in here. Wait a minute, Lois. I'm not sure. That's not really cheating. If you find pre-quilted fabric, you're good. It's not really cheating. Oh, Terry's going to do flowers. All right. Yep, you need to watch last week's lesson 1. So where can you find this, by the way? This is a 5-part series. I think it's 5. If it's not, it will be 5. The first part, I gave all the dimensions for the bag. If you go to angelawolf.com, all right, if you go to angelawolf.com, you scroll right down. I'll bring it up for you so you can see where to go, especially for those of you that are newer. This will eventually be on Brother's blog, but right now, just to get things rolling, I put it here. So let me just show you where to go. So those of you that are new, and then we'll roll on to the everything else. Okay, so let me bring this up real quick. I don't think Brother will mind if I bring my website up, since this is where the instructions are. So go to angelawolf.com, scroll down, and you see the big quilted bag. Boom. When you click there, it will take you to my blog. And on the blog, the first thing there are all the sewing supplies and the sew-along schedule. So today is the pocket, and actually next week is the straps. So that was a misprint right there. Today's the pockets and cutting our fabric. And you just click right here, and that will take you right to Brother's YouTube channel, and you can watch part 1. Today, I'll drop in video number 2, so you'll be able to watch everything from that one blog post. Sound good? And just in case you want to leave some comments, I left the comments open. I didn't realize I had them closed. So feel free to leave comments. I love to read those, and I'll share those with Brother as well. All right, so the first thing we need to do, let's go look at our fabric from last week and cut it to the appropriate dimensions, all right? Oh, and I saw somebody asking about the batting that goes on the inside. Let me see, did I put a link to that? I did. So if you go to that blog post, there's a link to the Insole Bright that I use, I think. Let me double check. Yeah. It'll give you an idea of where you can order it from, okay? Because it's not a Brother product. All right. And, oh, yes, I saw that last day for SMP entries. Good luck, everyone. Good luck. If you don't know about that, you can message me. A Brother dealer is having a little contest for you. All right, guys, let's go to the table. Let's check out our fabric from last week, and we need to cut that down. Oh, somebody picked patriotic fabric. I love that. Susie said sorry for the caps. That's okay. As long as you're not yelling at me, we're good. We're good. Oh, we got butterflies going on. Ooh, so exciting. Okay. By the way, while I'm doing this, if anyone sees my quilter's ruler anywhere, will you let me know? Because I cleaned up this last week getting ready for a class coming, and I can't find it anywhere. So we're going to make do. All right, so here's the bag for those that missed it. Today we're going to work on the pocket. So you can see I put letters. I also added some trim. And you could also do decorative stitching on here. But first thing we need to do is cut our panels, because we have two side panels and we have the top panel. And I will put these measurements in the blog as well, and especially if you're coming in late to the party. So here are my side panels. See my fish? I know. I was so excited doing this Sewalong because I will end up with 2 bags. And then I'm going to start working on some bags as gifts, because this is really, it's just so much fun. And everybody came up with such great ideas. Makeup bags, all those fun things. So the 2 side panels, are you ready? You got a pen? These need to be cut 9 by 14. So since I cannot find my quilter's ruler, I have a measuring tape. So guess what? 9 by 14. Do you kind of realize why I had you use the 9 by 14 hoop and quilt the entire hoop? Pretty darn easy. So I could literally just follow the outside of these lines, basically. So we got 9 inches, which is just barely inside of my embroidery lines, and 14. So if you did a basting stitch all the way around, you can use that as a guide. That's what I did on here. If you don't know what a basting stitch is on your embroidery, go back and watch my last part. So I'm just using my cutting. These are my cutting mats that I use for cutting strips. It's a straight line. It has a rubber backing. It's not a quilter's ruler, but it'll work. So there's my 9-inch marking on the side. Cut through all the layers. I'm just going to use the basting stitches. That's a great idea. I don't know why I didn't think of that earlier. In the last bag, I actually chalked everything in, right? Which we will be doing for the other piece. So one of these, and I don't know if you might notice it. One of these, I had a little boo-boo, a big boo-boo actually, but the machine was so amazing, you can't tell. So let me see if you can see it. Oh, if you look closely, you might be able to see it. So I changed the bobbin thread and I bumped the hoop. So leave me a comment and tell me if you know what happens then. I bumped the embroidery hoop and my fabric fell out. So I had to reline up everything so I could get these. So there's a couple stitches here that are right back over each other. But because I could use the plus and the minus, I could see it on the screen. It really worked out well. I took a photo of the fabric, brought it into the Stillaire, because I was using the Stillaire. Of course, if you're on the Luminaire, you could just do the projector. So anyways, the moral of the story is thanks, brother, for making the machines so foolproof, you can't even see my mistake. I can't even see it when I'm looking closely. All right, so there's one, 9 by 14. Now cut your other one, 9 by 14. I'm just popping over to make sure I didn't miss any questions before I keep this rolling. Any questions on the 9 by 14 or the other measurement? So if you're thinking, well, why on earth did you have us cut the fabric bigger before? Well, because we needed bigger fabric so we could fit it in the hoop. And also, even if you're not embroidering and you're just quilting, you need larger fabric just in case it shrinks down. Plus, I never like quilting from the very edge of the fabric. I like it to start just a little bit in And then if you, I don't know, you don't have to backstitch, you don't have to do any of those things. You stitch and cut. All right? All right, if you have questions, roll them in. If I missed them, Brother Social's in here that can help too. Oh, you had a bird's nest to cut out yesterday, Angie? Ooh, those are not fun. Oh, you do know exactly. Yeah. So maybe in one of these lessons, I will we'll do a bird. It's not a bird's nest. We'll do a embroidery fix it. We'll keep that in the lessons maybe for October. An embroidery fix it day. All right, here you go. Let's go back over here. How to fix that unforeseen incident. So again, this is my side panel. And I even hooped this crooked. I mean, there's my lines. It won't matter. My fish swim up and down, right? So if they're not totally sideways, it's not the end of the world. I don't think it's going to be noticeable at all. So for the side panels, we're going to add some bias tape to the top side. You will be doing that to the larger panel as well, but not until a later lesson. So we'll be doing that today because we're going to also be adding some of that bias tape to your pocket. All right, we don't need those. So 9x14, 2 panels, 2 side panels. You know what? Even if it was hooped a little crooked, it doesn't matter. The fish look great. Okay, put those to the side. We'll be back with those in just a few minutes. Now let's take our larger panel. And you can see I quilted these using the Move It foot. See how nicely that looked? Make sure you give it a good pressing too. And these are going to be cut. Are you ready for it? Did I already lose my measuring tape? Oh, I've got 10 of them here. We'll just use a different color for each one. No quilting ruler, but I got a lot of these. All right, so you need this to be 12.5 inches wide, which is about right there, by 19 inches long. So let me figure out how I'm going to do this without a quilter's ruler. I'm going to look one more spot to make sure I didn't just throw it on the floor here. Nah, we'll just use these. This will be fine. All right, so give myself a guide. 12.5 inches wide. I've got some tailor's chalk here. I'll use white. I think you'll see that better. 12.5 inches wide. Fold this in half so you can kind of find your center. I'm kind of a snob about that. So there's my center. You can see that those diamonds go this way. Make sure I have plenty of room if I do this. 12.5. Yeah, perfect. And 12.5. There we go. So the center of my bag will have these diamonds here. If you don't have that, it's not the end of the world. In fact, you know what? I think what I'll do is I'll cut this on this side. You'll see it better. So 12.5, just fold your measuring tape in half. You'll get the half mark. Go right to one of your diamonds. There's my diamond. You see that a little better now? Yeah, just remind me next time if I start sewing with the fish side up. 12.5. All right, let's move down a little bit to one of these diamonds. It'll give me a guide. Now, you probably have a quilter's ruler laying around, so you can make this even easier. All right. I'll line these both up. 12.5. Double checking my math. 12.5 wide. Yes. Because once you cut it, it's not coming back. There you go. And let's go to this side. Okay, now we have, so it's 12.5 wide, and now we need 19 inches long. First of all, I'm just going to start at one end to give myself a cut because I didn't even start stitching until down here. So line this up on your mat. You need to line up that edge. And then I'll line this up using the grid as a guide. Just cut that off. There, now I know I have a good starting point, and we need to go 19 inches. Which is right here. I'll measure one more. I like to have a couple markings just to make sure my line is straight. Again, I'll use the grid to line up my fabric here. Those do not look straight. I have a better idea. 19 inches from the edge is right there. Go to this end. That's the only hard part about a measuring tape, is they might, if it rolls at all, it won't be straight. So that looks a little better. Okay, I don't know what I was measuring. There we go. Again, this is 19 inches from here to here. I'm going to double check my math. There we go. All right, so I can just lay this piece on top of here if I want to and use this as the guide. So let's see. Cut off my ends. All right, 19 inches, right? I just want to try to line up my piece with the center diamonds. Nobody's going to see the front and your back of your bag at the same time. So don't freak out if you say, wait a minute, this isn't going to match up. It doesn't matter. Nobody's going to see your front and back. I'm just doing it because I like to. All right. I'm using the top fabric as a guide. So you have 19 inches. Now I have 12 and a half wide. It's a pretty thick layer there. All right, and this side. I got a message from someone that they said they were so happy that this sew-along, we're showing every step and not just like letting it, just saying do this and do that. Nope, I'm doing everything with you so you cannot miss this. And you can go back and watch this later on too. So if you're just at work, catching up. So this is the front piece. These are the two side pieces. All right, so for the front piece, we need to mark where the pocket is going to go. So I'm going to glance one more time for that darn ruler, but I don't see it. I must have used it for sewing. If anybody sees it in the eyes, oh my gosh, you guys, did you see this? Did anybody see this right here? Hello. Oh my goodness gracious. Now I'm gonna have to go back and see if anybody eye spied this, because this is what I need. Oh, well, phew. I thought that was going to be a mess up. So, do you want to put a pocket on both sides or just one? It's totally your choice. So, on this bag, I only put a pocket on one side. On the next bag, I'm going to put two. You want to know why? Because I found out that I've been putting my phone in this side, and on the side that would be closest to my body, I would want my keys and wallet. I don't know. I just think two sides would be great. And I find that this front pocket, I could put a zipper. We're not going to, but you could if you wanted it more secure. So this is the front panel. I'm going to measure from here down and give myself a chalk mark as a guide. And also notice that this pocket is enclosed with the straps. So we need to measure from the outsides and the top just to give ourselves a guide. So from the top, let's see, my fish are facing down, so this is my top. From my top down, measure 5 inches down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 inches down. Got it? I'll put these measurements on the blog too, but so there's the chalk guide. 5 inches down. Go ahead and mark your other side too. This one looks like the fish are upside down. So this is the top. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect. So you have that as a guide. See my chalk mark? I know it's a little tricky to see on the fish, but that's all right. All right, now on the sides, your straps are going to be 2 inches from the edge. So if I bring this up to show you, I think it's just about 2 inches. Yeah, 2 inches from the edge, 2 inches from the edge. So I need to make sure that my pocket is within that. So say about 2.5 inches. But I like to mark where the straps are going to go. So you might as well just do it right now. I'm going to do one layer at a time. It's just a little too thick. All right. The strip is 2.5 inches wide. That's convenient. All right, 2.5 inches. This is going to be where the edge of my pocket's going to go. 2.5 inches in. And again, you could use any fabric marking tool that you want. So this is going to be for my bag. And then 2 inches from the edge is where my straps are going to go. So I'll just line this up at the 2-inch mark. To give myself a guide of where the edge of my strap will be. And then do it on this side. So I'm just lining the fabric up along this edge here. 1, 2 inches in. 1, 2 inches in. The marking is probably the most important part, otherwise everything won't line up. All right. Our pocket will go here. This will be the edge of it. And we have this marked. Do the same markings on the other one. So again, 2.5 inches. Well, first of all, we have our 5-inch mark. 2.5 inches in. Chalk mark where your pocket will go. And then do this side as well. It doesn't matter how long you make this mark. Your pocket's a certain size, so it just gives me a guide. So, by the way, did any of you use decorative fills on this? You know, this one was the quilting on this side, but if you did use the decorative fills in your machine, I'd love to know which one. Which one did you use? All right, now we're marking 2 inches from the edge. 2 inches, and then on this side, 1, 2 inches, 1, 2 inches. All right, we have our strap marks, we have our pocket marking. Looks pretty good. All right, we'll put these to the side for right now. You have your upper panels here. These are your side panels, I should say. Figure out which side is the up side. Did you pick up some bias tape? If you didn't, you could use self fabric as well. It's totally your choice. I'm going to use this though. So this is about, I think this is like 1/4 inch. Yeah, 1/4 inch wide. On the top of your piece, and I'll bring you a little closer here just so you can see. I'm going to go ahead and pin this, and then we'll move on into the pocket. But I like to have this ready because when I go to the machine, I only have to do one thing at a time. Well, I should say I'm only doing one thing at a time, but it saves time. Got it? Okay, so this is the upper side of my bag. See that okay? Take your double folded bias, or if you're using self fabric, just cut fabric. It doesn't need to be on the bias because this is a straight line. Start with this over just a little bit from the edge. We'll cut it off when we're finished. Just pin this in place. You could use fabric clips too if it's too thick for you. So this is itsy bitsy. I mean, it's just barely covering the edge, but that's all I wanted, just to have it just as a little decoration. Pin it in place. If it's too thin for you, one option is to open this up and sew it and then flip it over. But I'm just pinning this in place to give it a guide. Cut off a little extra and do the same thing for this piece, making sure my fish are facing up and down. Like, which way are you facing? So I'll cut this strip, as you can see, just a little bit wider, and I'll put it right here. I'll put one pin in here just to keep them together, and when we go to the machine, I'll show you how to sew it. I'll show you the easy way to sew it. Those that are more advanced can just fold this over and sew it, but if you need a little tips, we'll do that. So pin both of those and place this to the side. Now we have the pockets. So I've already cut these and I have fusible interfacing. Why do I need interfacing? Well, you don't necessarily have to. It's an option. I'm going to show you my other bag and tell you why I've decided to use interfacing now. It's just a lightweight fusible. I'll put a link. It's not a Brother product, but I'll put a link on the blog. When you have fusible interfacing, feel the side that's a little sticky. It's not really sticky, it's just rough. And I will press that in place. The reason I want that, it just gives a little more stability to the pocket. So what are the measurements for the pocket, by the way? Put this to the side. I'll take that to the ironing board in a moment. You can see the fold for the pocket. I've already pressed the fold just so you can see that. So it depends how you're going to hoop this for embroidery. I'm going to be using sticky back stabilizer, so I just cut this about 16, a little less than 16 inches long and almost 10 inches wide. When I say that, though, I will be trimming this down just a little bit because my final pocket, when it's on here, just to show you, is 2 layers of fabric, and the finished pocket is 7 inches tall by about 8 inches wide. All right. So I'm just saying that because I will mark this on my fabric so I know exactly where I want the lettering to go, but I also added some more of this trim here to tie in. All right, so let's go press this in place. I'll take your questions, and then we're going to embroider one, and then we'll sew the straps on the others, so you're not sitting there watching me embroider, and then you can do whatever you want to yours. So I have my fusible interfacing to the edge on the wrong side of the fabric, and again, when you feel this, one side's a little rougher. That's the side that goes down. Do you know what happens if you mess that up? Well, your iron will not like you very much. We'll leave it at that, right? Okay, so let me come back over, see if you have any questions before we move on. Any questions for me? You can't remember which fill you used, Terry? That's all right. You get a pass. You get a pass. Oh, we got the rose one. That's pretty. Can you use webbing for straps? Yeah, Zena, you sure can. I just made my own because I wanted them to match, but you could use webbing, you could use belting, you could use, just has to be thin enough that you can sew through it, because once you have that batting on there with the quilting, that's kind of thick. So you just need to make sure you have something that you can sew through that will look nice. But absolutely you can. All right, anything else? Cindy, what did you win? I'm dying to know. Oh, wait. You got a blue ribbon on your whimsical jean jacket? Congratulations. Congrats, congrats. So for those of you that don't know, we have the greatest sewing community here on Brothers Sews. A lot of the Wolf Pack is here, which if you're watching, you're part of the Wolf Pack. And I love how you all support each other sewing. And so many of you received ribbons in the fairs and contests. I'm so proud of you. Say you're like my kids, but I think we're more like sisters, right? You're welcome. Check the direction of that last panel again. Okay, Bonnie, I will. Did I do it upside down? Your basting stitch is 9.25 by 14. Will that work, or do I need to trim to exactly 9 inches? So it's the side panel. I would probably trim to exactly 9 inches, Julianne. The reason being is the measurements of the bag, it needs to match up. I mean, that would make it a 1/2 inch shorter. I'll show you on the bag what would change if you do that. All right, you ready? Make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, so I'm going to take you back here, and we'll go to the sewing machine just for a minute so I can just move my camera to the ironing board. I don't want you to get seasick. So what machines will I be using today? Well, I'm going to be using the Stellaire for embroidery and the Luminaire for sewing. There's for embroidery and the others for sewing. So let's go to the ironing board. I'd be a kid sister to you, Darlene. That's perfect. Okay, so here is, now I'm using an iron. You all know, if you followed me for a long time, my iron has an iron shoe right here, a little dirty. If you have the iron shoe, you don't necessarily have to use a press cloth, but I like to have a press cloth underneath because if it happens to have any gook on it at all, if you know what that means, then that will stick to the fabric instead of your ironing board. So I'm just going to grab a piece of fabric I've been working on here. Put this on the ironing board. That is not, what in the world? I was doing some beautiful quilting projects on this one, and I changed my mind. I didn't like it anymore, so that's why I'm using this. All right, so you've got your fabric. When you're pressing, bring it out just a little bit. Make sure that the sticky side's down, start in the middle, and just lift your iron and press. Do not go like this. It will mess up your fusible interfacing. So you want to lift and press. So I see somebody asking, why are you using fusible interfacing? Aren't you going to use embroidery stabilizer? You are. So let me be clear about one thing. This fabric here is a lightweight cotton. That being said, if I go to put a bunch of letters, decorative stitches, or anything else like that on here, what's going to happen? Well, the fabric kind of gets a little skewed. And I don't want that. So now I'm on the right side, just pressing it. And then go ahead and press along the fold. So this is the long piece. I'm folding it up. Let's see, I'm missing. Use my tailor's clapper. Poor Mary, she'll get her clapper one of these days. All right. So there's one of my pockets, nicely pressed. We're going to put some markings for where we want the embroidery, but there's one pocket. Take the other one. If you're going to do two, might as well just press them all right now. Again, you're fusing this to the wrong side of the fabric if you're using a lightweight cotton. If you're using a canvas, like a tote bag canvas, then you really don't need the interfacing. All right. And it's lightweight fusible interfacing is what I have on here. I always like to give it a pressing from the right side as well. I'm using an iron shoe so I won't scar the fabric at all. Fold your fabric in half. So here's the long ways. I don't need this anymore. Fold this up. Give it a good pressing. If you've got your tailor's clapper, give it a press. If you don't know what those are, go to my website. It's not a Brother product, but I do have them there. Yeah, and so Mary sews with me. That's why I initialed it for her, signed it with her. But she's at school now. So Mary, if you're watching, I'm enjoying your clapper. All right, so you have 2 pockets. Let's go back to the table. We're going to mark for our embroidery, and then we'll go to the embroidery machine. So I'll take you back here. Oh, you're going to do the new embroidery, the bunny design? Ooh, that'll be cute. Oh, hey, Cindy, you can quilt with the silver on the inside. Although the only thing is if you're doing this, Cindy, if you're doing the one that just has silver for keeping your stuff cold, then I might not. I would still sew the straps there. All right, bringing you back to the table. While you're looking at my beautiful still air, here you go. All right. Oh, hey, Joanna. You're still here, though. That's all that matters. Sherry, does the iron shoe help when you're pressing on white so it doesn't scorch? Yeah. An iron shoe I use on everything. You can even press faux leather, faux suede, anything like that, and it doesn't leave a scar. I know. Everyone post photos of your bags. We want to see them. And don't forget to use hashtag Brother Sews, hashtag Angela Wolf so I can see them. All right, I'm making sure I don't have any last minute questions before I think I got them all. If I missed one, just ask it again. Let's head over to the table. I'm multitasking. I'm trying to read your comments and work on the bag. Okay, so someone said to check the placement of the last. So there's the fish going up and down. And there's the fish going up and down. That should be good. Oh, you wanted on the big bag? Is that what you're talking about? I wasn't paying attention. So there's the upper. Yeah, no, those are all good. But thanks for telling me. So imagine this is the front of your bag. This is where your pocket's going to go. So you can see I have this cut way wider than I need it. When we're finished, it's going to be cut there. But I like to have the extra room. That's just my personal preference. You don't have to. If you want to cut it exact and embroider, that's fine too. So let's mark the center of this piece of fabric. I could do it by ironing it. I'm marking not the center of this, the center of my pocket. See that marking right here? And while that's there, let's see, that's the center of the bag. Because it's wider, I'm going to mark where the edge of this is going to fall. So this is where I will be cutting, and this is where I'll be cutting. Give or take a little bit of room. So where do you want your letters then? When we sew this, this will be sewn underneath here. So let's go ahead and cut this piece so it's nice and straight. Now that we have the interfacing all set to go on there, I'm just going to trim off about 1/4 inch. All right. And I'll trim this off later. So you have to imagine that this is going to be on the bag. This will be sewn in place down here, which we'll do. And then you have this section here. So where do you want the name? So if you look on my bag, I had some trim at the top. I added some trim all the way down, which was kind of fun. So give yourself a guide where you want your letters to go. Or if you're putting a design, that's fine too. So if I bring my bag up here, so you know what I'm talking about. I have my letters. I drew a chalk mark right here. That would be almost 3.5 inches. 1, 2, yeah, about 3.5 inches down. But you can put yours anywhere you want. You probably don't want it right at the top. You want it to look somewhat like it's supposed to be there. So I'll take this and let's go ahead and mark this down 3.5 inches. 1, 2, 3.5. And this will be a guide about where I want those letters. And I'll also mark this center position. If you're going to embroider on the second piece as well, go ahead and trim this off so it's the same. It's if you're going to do 2 pockets. I know someone just said, please post photos of everybody's bags. So there's a couple places you can post those. If you're on Instagram, post them there and tag Brother Sews and tag myself. I'm not on Instagram every single day, but I am on there frequently enough that I could find them. If they're in your stories, though, then they kind of disappear and I don't get to see them. So, and if you're in the Angela Wolf Patterns group, you can post it there too, because this is technically one of my patterns. And that's a free group. It's not my fashion sewing club. So it's free if you're on Facebook. All right, so there's my center. Let me make that line just a little bit more defined. I like to have these guides. So there's the center. We'll just go ahead and follow these. This is where the edge of my fabric will be, and this is where the edge of my fabric will be. And yeah, you could totally cut it right now if you wanted to. The reason I left it bigger is, first of all, if I decided to hoop my fabric instead of using sticky back stabilizer, right? I would need extra fabric. I could put this in a 4x4 hoop all day long. All right. So we've got 2 pockets. A placement for embroidery here. I've got the center markings just as a guide for myself. You don't need anything on the back side because that's going to be the inside of your pocket, which you want it to be look nice and finished. And so anything we do needs to be within here. All right. This is where we're cutting our edge of our fabric. And then you can imagine once the straps are on, it'll really be over almost another 1/2 inch. So keep your designs within a 1 inch from your marked edge. Keep it in here. And then again, remember this is going to be folded down. So any questions on the pocket so far? So my original dimensions for this, just again, 15. Now that I've trimmed it down a little bit, 15 by about 10. That won't be our final measurement though. Our final measurement, once we cut this, will be 7.5. Our final measurement, 7.5 by 15. So 7.5 by 15. I'll write that down so I can put it on the website for you. That's the final. All right, so let's get embroidering. That's what we're here for, right? You can do letters. You can do anything you want. I'm just going to move all this to the side. And I chose a bigger hoop because I want to show you something kind of cool on here. You could easily do a 4x4 though. So here's a little bigger. This hoop is the, I can never remember these by heart. 9.5 by 9.5. Oh my goodness gracious. I should totally remember that by heart. When you're playing around with so many different things, it's like, wait, what is that? So I have this design here. Technically, I could embroider both of these if I squeeze these in really creatively. Like put one here and put one down here. Do 2 designs all in the same hoop. All right, so while you're here, I'm only going to put 1 design on there, but then after I leave you, after today's live show, I will be sticking my other piece right on there, like I showed you. All right, so cut your stabilizer. This is Sticky Back Tearaway Stabilizer. And you can find this at your local brother dealer. Brother brand, of course. And how you hoop. For all my friends who are totally new at embroidery, sometimes I forget that, and I'll just keep rolling. I want to make sure you know. So this stabilizer is a very fussy stabilizer because one side almost feels like paper and the other side will pull back, which you'll see. But so what this will kind of, yeah, but she's stuck in there good today. This will pull back just a little bit. So this is the sticky side and this is kind of the papery. So the shiny side goes up in your hoop. No, I was not hooping upside down. I was just holding it. Open your hoop up. Slide this in place. You'll see this knob on your hoop, which will coordinate with this knob here. I just have to turn you a little bit so I know I'm on camera, but I'm still trying to get through all of this, and this is a better angle for me. There we go. Push this down. Tighten up your hoop. Tighten it good because you know what happens if you don't. I just told you what happened to me. So if this pops open when you change the bobbin, you might have a mess. All right. Taking a pin, you're scoring the paper. So just push the pin through the paper, not too hard where it goes all the way through. You're just trying to cut away that top layer. Let's see, I'll do one little X here. Sometimes it makes it a little easier to get into that paper. And I'm peeling away the top piece of paper. That's what I get for painting my nails. Now I'll scratch it all over my stabilizer. All right, so here's the paper. So what I was mentioning is if I'm using a bigger hoop, you need to open this. We want a nice finished inside edge. So I could technically slide one here and one here. I'm only going to embroider one first, and then I can add the other piece after. So now remember this, let's see, which way is the upside? This is the upside. Slide this down just a little bit more. And after I embroider here, I could always fold this back a little bit to add my next piece. So conserving. Now, on the Stellaire, I could use my phone and take a photo of the hoop. I'd have to fold this back a little bit because you would need all of these in the photo and send it to the machine. There's another way, though, in the new Stellaire where I can use a 2-positioning marker to tell my design where I want this. So this is not hoop totally straight, and this is why I gave myself some guide marks. So follow along. If you're in the Stellaire Masterclass, I show you how to do both of these. Take a photo of this and send it to the machine, and also use the laser positioning. All right, let's go to the machine. On my way, I will check for questions. Any questions for me? I did get some emails from some of you watching that wondered if the Stellaire Masterclass, how can you get into the class? You need to go to your brother dealer. So go to your brother dealer. If you bought the new Stellaire 2, all you have to do is register your machine. Just like the Airflow Serger, register your machine. You get a link to class, no charge. Same with the Luminaire 3. All of those. When you buy the machine new, register it. You'll get a link from brother at this point to get into the class for free. Now, if you have the Stellaire 1, you have to contact your brother dealer, and they can purchase the class for you individually. All right? So, oh, thanks, brother. They got me covered. Everyone's asking, what machines are you using? I'm using the 2 best, Luminaire and Stellaire. Yeah. Okay. Is that it? No more questions? Oh, you guys are so easy. Oh, here we go. Mary Lou, what do you got? I know it's sandwich, but which side should it be closer to? Oh, where we're putting the letters, the folded edge. It really doesn't matter. You can do either. So I'm going to show you how I do this, but you could do either. It doesn't matter. Jody, question about quilting on the bag that does not have a back, only batting. Do I need a back of some sort? So if you have fabric that's already pre-quilted, you're going to want to use another piece of fabric for the lining. And because you want it to look nice on the inside. So yeah, I would do that. And cut the same measurements. Terry Joe. Angela, what's the difference between the move it foot and the walking foot? You need both. So the move it foot, it's actually spelled M-U-V, it, and that plugs into the machine. I showed it really well last week on last week's show. It plugs into, it's totally different than a walking foot. And I know there's a ton of good videos on that on Brother Sews. So maybe Brother Social Team can put a link to some of those. And you know what? I'll look on YouTube as well and put it in this the blog post for you. All right. Okay, we got about 5 more minutes to class. And yes, we can do this in 5 minutes. Get you started, get you rolling, and then we'll come back to this in the next lesson. So here we are on the machine. I'm going to go ahead and put my hoop in here. I have blue bobbin thread in here. You're not going to see the bobbin thread anyways, so I'm not too worried about it because it'll be covered up from the lining. All right, slide this in place. Now this part is so cool. Oops, you know what? I forgot to start my machine. Hold on. I just turned it on. It was sleeping. I was like, why is that moving? That's weird. That's why. All right, slide this in place. Now, I'm just going to show you how to get this set up. You don't need to watch me embroider. So first of all, let's go into the embroidery screen. Bring you just a little bit closer here. I was trying to get you where that light wasn't right there. How's that? Better? All right, so go into embroidery. Pick any design you want, but I'm going to do some letters. By the way, have you seen some of these cool letters? This one here, I was thinking of doing a big W for wolf. Let me see how big that is. I don't know if it's going to be too big. So click set. Oh, that's pretty big. If I move this up, that's awfully big. I don't think that's going to work. I mean, I could do it maybe on my other one. I'll do that. So let's go back. Let's do letters. Click OK. Go in here to the letters. Pick whatever font you want. This font actually looks like our boat. W. Lowercase letters. I-N. I don't think the whole Win and Angel will fit there. What does it look like if it's medium? A little bit too small. Well, we'll try. W-I-N. In case you've never used letters, use these icons up here to add more letters. I hear Win outside. No, I don't think that whole thing's going to fit. Let's go W. Let's do the medium. I-N dash N dash. That is the name of our boat. Win's name is W-I-N-N. And of course, I'm Angela. But if you take off his last letter and my last letter, you get Win and Angel. I would not recommend, if you're giving this to kids, don't put your kid's name on there because you don't want strangers to know their names. But you could do last names or nicknames or... I know, isn't that scary that you have to even think of that? Oh, it's not Win and Angela. It's Win and Angel. There we go. So it shows me it up here. There's Win and Angel. By the way, there's a really cool feature on here that as you're doing this, if you look at this and you go, you know what, I don't really like that font. Let's do a different font. And I can either do it by letter or the whole word. So after you put this whole thing together, if you're thinking, I don't really like that, you can change it right here on the screen. So you can change it by letter or grab the whole batch of everything and change it that way. So click set. That looks pretty good. All right, and how big is that? That doesn't look bad. So I could move this, or I can use the laser pointer. So when I click on embroidery, click on layout, and click this right here. This is the coolest new feature. So you decide, do you want to mark where the bottom of your letters are going to go, or the top, or the side? So I'm going to mark it from the bottom because I'll put it right on that line that I made. Make sense? And then I'll see, I think it'll fit in there fine, but so click next. It tells me where's point number 1. I'll take you over to the fabric. Can you see that red laser right there? So I need to move the machine because I want it to go up here. That's my line. So on this screen here, click next. Oh, and also I'm telling it I'm going sideways. So click next. Now it turns red, and now I have these arrows, and when I move these, look what happens over here. You can see the red light. Just barely see that. Bring you in a little closer. There it is. Okay, it's just barely underneath that mark, which that'll be fine, because if I go one more mark, it's barely above. So that looks good. And now I'm going to mark over here just barely below. So once I have that, go back to your screen. Click next. And now it says, where's number 2? If I look back at my fabric, let's see how close it is to that line, because I know I didn't hoop straight. Looks like it's just a little bit too much below this. So if I go up just a little bit, now it's right on it. That's all right. I think that'll be close. Should I go just below or just above? And if you don't like that, you could always rehoop everything. But that's a great way. Now all I have to do is click set. This is another reason, by the way, if you make your pocket a little bigger, you can make sure it's right in the center. All right, so I don't know if can you see the set button? Click set. And look, it automatically angled my wording right there. How cool is that? Okay, I love that. But also, what I did for my Win an Angel, I'm going to go back to show you this real quick since we're almost out of time. I clicked on size on this screen, and I made the letters taller. And see how it changes it right on the screen? It's still angled at that new position, but now these are options you have to change your letters. Isn't that cool? All right, click OK. And now click embroidery, and I'm ready to embroider. So that's how easy it is to embroider letters. Now, a couple of things that we did not cover, which you can do before next week's show. I'll also show it next week as well. But let me bring my blank pocket over here. So my embroidery will go here. And then I have some fun trim. But you have a gazillion decorative stitches in your machine. So because you have that fusible interfacing on here, you could do rows and rows of decorative stitching. So it's your option. Do you want me to do this before I see you next time or do it live with you? Because I don't care either way. The idea is that you can actually sew along with me. So I try to go a little slower. So if you look here, this piece here is just bias tape that I opened up. I pressed it and stitched it in place. I did that up here as well. And then up at the very top, I just folded this over the folded edge. Now, your edge is folded. So if you didn't want to use this, you could also do decorative stitches or anything like that up here. I just thought it added a nice touch because I also put this on the side pieces. So we'll be sewing those in the next lesson. So embroider your designs. And now you tell me, do you want me to do my stitches without you or with you? With or without. Whichever one you want is good. Okay, so let me see. Hey, Cheryl. I know Darlene says, please post photos. So I see a ton of questions. I'll try to answer them real quick since we are technically out of time, but I got a couple more minutes for you. Do you need a special number for sew-along photos? No, here you go. Let me see if I can find this. So there's the websites. Share your projects using hashtag Brothers Sews. All right. And if you go to Brothers Sews, of course, they have their blog. Don't forget about the free design this month. And then also, if you go to angelawolf.com, that's where I've posted all the details for the blog at this point. It'll eventually be on Brothers blog. Oh, hey, thanks. I missed that. I love Brothers Social Team. Does the silver insulated side of the batting goes to the inside or outside? Inside. So if you're using the one that just has silver there's different insulating. There's ones that just have silver, a shiny silver, and that's for keeping your items cold. So the silver would go to the inside. Now the piece I was using had batting on both sides and then silver in the middle. That's why I use the extra fabric as a lining. So if you just have the one that's just silver, you don't have to use lining necessarily. Oh, everyone says live. Okay, that's fine as long as you guys don't mind. I told you it's going to be 5 lessons. If I keep rolling it over, it might be 6, but you don't care, right? All right, we'll do it live. Live. Oh, you guys are great. Well, that means that you're enjoying it, right? I know. You know, when I was playing with that bias tape, I thought this is really cute. It kind of looks good on there. It's something different. Well, I think it's unanimous. I'll do it live and you can all follow. Oh, hey, Terry Joe, I saw your email too. I meant to email you back. I will put you in touch with another brother dealer if yours is not in business. So, yeah, how's that? So if you have the Still Air 1, you can do a search on Brothers website for another dealer. I know a lot of you know some of the other dealers to contact them for this class, but I'll do some checking for you too. Oh, hey, you're in Grand Rapids. Geraldine, that's awesome. You're just an hour and a half down the street from me. I heard that's a great show this weekend too. All right, any last minute questions? I'm gonna let you all go. I will be sewing ruching today on one of the brother dealers' websites. I think you know which one, and that's at 4 p.m. Eastern. Other than that, next week we will be here. Now, the shows next week will be pre-recorded. So I will start right now recording, and I'll make sure I do all of this live. I will go back and answer questions for you, but I do have an in-person class next week. So I'll be watching with you, and I'm going to go keep sewing, and I'll videotape everything for you so you don't miss a thing. All right? Now, don't forget, if you're on Brothers YouTube or Facebook pages, click the like button so they know that you like these sew-alongs, and we'll have more for you. All right, everyone. Any last minute questions, drop them in. I'll check back later. You know how to find me and you know how to find brother. So till next time, have a great weekend and happy sewing.